In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I made this workbench out of this wall that I knocked out in my basement to make a new shop. So for those of you who are astute at math, you're going to see that there's more 2x4s here than were in that wall. That's because I knocked out a few. But good eye though. So what I'm doing here is I'm removing all the little bits of metal, nails, screws, staples, before I put this through my planer, because those would damage the blade, and also they're going to make for a nasty top surface of that table anyway. So it needs to get done. It's time consuming, but it's worth it because you could see this would really wreck a blade. So from here I'm going to do a glue up of these pieces. I'm going to do a laminated top. So it's important that I get good contact. I'm spreading this glue around, and for those of you who are wondering, the only reason that I'm doing 5 or 6 pieces at a time is because my planer can handle about 13 inches of workpiece at a time, so I wouldn't be able to put the whole piece through, so I'm going to have to do it in sections. So while this is drying and curing, I'm going to get started on the legs. For this I'm using just some 4x4 piece of lumber that I got from the store, and I had the idea to put casters on this for usability. In this little shop I'm going to be able to want to move it around, so each one of these casters is rated to about 125 pounds for a total of 500 pounds for the table, which is more than enough for the little projects that I work on. So had to give it a good spin just to make sure the caster was casting. From there I took the boards down, not a ton, but down to about 3 inches a piece. Got them as close in thickness as I could to one another, but it still wasn't perfect. So from there I had to do the big glue up, and this is the important one. So I added in a couple extra pipe clamps to give it some stronger backing for that glue up. And while that was drying, I wanted to get a start on the wood vise that I was going to put on, and it didn't come with a handle. It just so happened one of the brooms in our house happened to be the exact right thickness, so apologies to my wife, but this broom has started a useful second life, and there's still a short end for small jobs, I guess. But now I'm unclamping. Moment of truth, wanted to see how the big glue up turned out. And it's pretty good, heavy. So my circular saw was having issues, so I had to do this the old-fashioned way. Made for quite a bit of work, but it turned out pretty solid. And here what I'm doing is I'm planing down the different sections together. It's a rough and ready workbench. This isn't a piece of fine furniture, but I just wanted each of those joints to be relatively flat and level, so there weren't any bumpy sections on the piece. Here I'm routing over the edges just to give a nice working edge to the piece, and then sanding up from 80 to about 220 grit. This is going to be the front of the vise, and it took a little bit of work to make sure that we got this drilled and fitted right, but in the end we got a good solid fit. It was just difficult with the multiple sized holes on different locations, but using a Dremel and a file we were able to fine tune it. This is bolting it onto the workbench. I will save you the excitement of watching me wrench on a bunch of bolts, but this is what it looked like. Yep, here it is, all its glory. So from here I was using a Craig jig to add some pocket holes to screw the legs to the workbench. I ended up putting 4 on each leg. However, I put 6 screws into each, so I put in the 4, and then it still felt a bit wobbly, so I put one on either side that didn't have the pocket holes. You can see it in the bottom left there. It's a little ugly, but like I said, this is a made to work piece, not made to be super pretty. So here I'm lining up, making sure these are level so that as we add those reinforcements, the casters stay level and can glide smoothly across the ground without getting wonky. So I added one along the width and the length of the piece to give it some extra support. Getting this down was quite the process. It turned out to be a really, really heavy piece of work, so it took probably about 5 minutes of scooting it around and thinking and figuring, but in the end got it flipped over and ready to go. Here's what the surface looked like, just raw, and I thought it looked pretty good, but I mean it's going to be used for everything in between, so it's going to get paint, screws, and nails, but I still thought even though it's going to get banged up, I'd like to make it look a little less 2x4-ish, so I added some wood stain just to give it a sharper look, and I think it turned out real nice. And that's it. That's the piece. That's how it turned out. I'm really happy. It was a fun way to use up some scrap materials from the job, and it makes for a fun story as I build out this little shop. So I hope you stay tuned. I'll be putting out more videos of the little projects that I do here, but thanks again for watching.